If you just do it, it'll turn out good. And I have a bad toothache and I need a root canal. That's been my week this past week. How's your week been?
Mine's been pretty good. This week I actually am on spring break, so
Nice.
definitely, I'm definitely pretty happy about that because after doing so much math, it just fries my brain.
Once you're on spring break, you're here. You're not going to some tropical resort like everyone else in spring break does.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sort of like for me, I think if I did this, it takes my insurance, or I need like the pal up $1,500 get my tooth
Say
fixed.
what? Sorry. Say what? Sorry.
That's I need a root canal, so I either need no dentist around my area is taking my insurance yet. So I either find one that takes my insurance, or I need $1,500 to get
Okay.
it fixed, and it hurts very badly.
All right. So, anyways, let's get straight to it. Let's talk about the one, the only, the man, the legend himself, Jim Carrey, my all-time favorite actor.
Oh yeah. So what was your first Jim Carrey experience?
Well, I think it might have been Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I remember watching it as a kid on TV, and I just thought it was hilarious. Like, I believe I saw When Nature Calls first, and I remember seeing that part where he goes to that guy, "You look like the Monopoly guy," and I just thought that was hilarious. And I also remember watching the original, where after he's in like that shark pit, and then he goes, "Do not go in there." Woo! But
I
yeah,
think my first Jim Carrey. We're talking before we got here. My first Jim Carrey experience was in Living Color, the comedy
yeah,
series in the '90s.
I actually am yet to watch that. But yeah, since you've heard our first experiences, what was yours? Nick?
Oh, um, mine was either the live action Grinch, or Batman Forever.
Yeah, I remember with the live action Grinch, I remember seeing that at the movie theater. And out of all the Jim Carrey movies, that definitely is the one that I have the most childhood nostalgia for because I remember I fell in love with that movie as a kid. I loved it so much that I got a giant stuffed dog that looked just like Max from the movie, and I actually named him Max. And
Wow.
and yeah, and ever since I saw it at the theater, it has been my tradition every single Christmas to pop it in and watch it.
Wow. Cause see, I warmed up to the movie a lot more in recent times, only because like a friend of mine is like really into it, and like he loves using like the clip where the Grinch goes brilliant, like
Yeah.
his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It's also funny during that part where he goes, "I'm an idiot. You're an idiot."
Yeah, there's lots like improv that Jim Carrey does in there.
Like I said, my first was a TV show. But like movie wise, I think it was either Ace Ventura or The Mask. I forget what came out first.
I think it was Ace Ventura first.
Yeah. Where he did that sour scene and cried the whole time.
But yeah, I actually remember that I had the Mask on VHS as a kid, and I remember watching it so many times, and even saying that makes me feel old.
See, The Mask I didn't get much into as a kid, but then when I got like a bit older and watched it like in high school, then I got really into it.
I think I remember The
Probably,
Mask, well, the show was funny to itself, but also I entered that Nintendo Power thing that never happened. Like my
yeah.
Nintendo
Did?
Power. Yeah, like, be a guest in The Mask too. Quote, quote.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, and a sequel that never happened because Jim Carrey didn't like doing Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and so that's why they canceled The Mask 2. So instead of The Mask 2, we got Son of the Mask. which is regarded as one of the worst movies ever made. But yeah, and in my opinion, the funniest part in The Mask has to be when they're searching for. It probably has to be when he's going through his pockets and then he grabs out. Then he grabs out a condom and he's like, "Oh, sorry, wrong pocket."
Oh yeah.
that that was funny.
I think that was actually an improv line too.
I would not be surprised at all. I mean, a lot of people give credit to Robin Williams, like for his improv skills, but Jim Carrey has some pretty good improv skills too. But yeah, I remember as a kid, I was both a big Batman fan and a Jim Carrey fan. So when my mom told me that Jim Carrey was in a Batman movie, I will never forget how awestruck I was.
Yeah. That Batman Forever was like the first of the 90s movies I had seen.
We talked about this earlier, but was that the first movie he played a villain in?
Yes. Jim Carrey played the Riddler.
It's actually surprising how often he's played the villain and stuff.
Yeah, like he played the villain in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. He played
he was also Count Olaf in Series Unfortunate Events.
Yeah, and about that, I actually saw like this outtake like while they were filming that, and there's this part like where Jim Carrey as Count Olaf is trying to imitate a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah, I've seen the outtake. It's like where like all of Count Olaf's like henchmen are like all passed out drunk or something, and like he's still imitating a T-Rex. And at one point he crawls like behind the couch, and like he pokes his head out, and like he's making dinosaur noises, and then it culminates with him licking the ear of like one of the henchmen.
That was hilarious. But yeah, the movie itself was okay, but the best part definitely was Jim.
He said he was fully ready to come back for a sequel, but then they dragged their ass on it, and by the time they were finally ready to get going, they couldn't do it because the kids had gotten too old.
Yeah, so I do know that they made a TV show out of it, but
yeah, they made the Netflix series out of it. Like, it is a lot. I mean, it does deviate from the books a lot still, but it is generally a lot closer. I mean, some of the deviations they made in the TV show were a bit infuriating. Like the banker character, oddly enough, the banker was accurate in the movie, but in the show, he is a massive ass.
Huh.
Like, very unlikable. But yeah, so unfortunately Jim Carrey didn't get to do a sequel out of that.
Yeah. It's very rare that Jim Carrey has sequel movies, I think.
There's a reason for that, because after the Ace Ventura sequel, he basically made it to where, for the most part, he didn't like doing sequels because he claimed it didn't challenge him as an actor. So that resulted in a ton of sequels to his movies that didn't have him in it.
Yeah, like Evan Almighty. I saw that once at the theater, and I pretty much forgot about it, which is the complete opposite of Bruce Almighty, because in Bruce Almighty, there's so many memorable moments in it. Like, when he's in the coffee shop, and then like he's reenacting, the whole thing, like with Exodus, like having like that pathway in between the water. Excuse me, I need a spoon.
So is Sonic the first sequel series he's had like forever then?
No. He did make a Dumb and Dumber sequel.
Yeah. He did that, which I honestly was pretty disappointed with.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, that was the last movie he did until the Sonic movies. I mean, it wasn't the last thing he did, period. He did a TV show called Kidding. And the thing about that show, he plays a Mr. Rogers type character, and he's super depressed.
And I believe they had Ariana Grande on that show.
I keep trying to read a plot synopsis of that show, but literally the Wikipedia page only gives a synopsis of the first episode, and they haven't bothered to go in and fill in the rest.
Yeah, and I believe Jim Carrey also did like a serious drama, like thriller movie for Netflix. Like I think it was called Dark Crimes, but I heard it got really bad reviews. So yeah, out of all of his serious movies, what do you two feel like was his best ones?
Truman Show.
Oh yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
Like,
But yeah, I feel like the Truman Show has like a lot of really good social commentary in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also remember that I saw the Majestic as a kid, but I haven't seen it in such a long time that I don't even really remember what the plot was because it was such a long time ago. Did you two
Yeah.
ever watch that?
watch what?
There was a series movie Jim Carrey did in like the early 2000s. It was called The Majestic.
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't think I know that.
Yeah, I saw it like once a long time ago. I also saw Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But yeah, it's very much like Inception in the sense that it's a movie that really gets you to think. But yeah, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind also definitely was a pretty good movie too.
Yeah.
You remember? I didn't watch it, but I heard a lot about the Cable Guy movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in that movie Jim Carrey had like lips. And isn't that the one with Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
The guy, that's the guy he was stalking.
Say what? Sorry.
That was the guy he was that was the guy he was stalking in the movie.
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I saw that they do have it on like I believe Shudder or some streaming service. So, and since that I'm going to be on spring break this upcoming week, I can have some time to watch it.
Yeah, it reminds me. Off topic, I need to find the streaming services for the Batman movies for next week. I haven't found one yet.
Well, if you want to that, go on HBO Max because Warner Brothers has done some sort of partnership with HBO Max, so HBO Max has everything Batman.
Well, Warner Brothers owns HBO Max.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
that explains it.
But speaking of that, I think that was back to the Jim Carrey Riddle thing. I think that was one of the first. They said that's the first Batman movie people didn't like. A lot of people.
Well, people also had problems with Batman Returns, dude, because of how dark it was. But the one people really didn't like, though, was Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Batman and Robin.
I remember I loved it as a kid, but then as a teenager, I go, yeah, I can see the problems with the movie. But yeah, I do think Jim Carrey made a really fun Riddler. But to be honest, I think maybe Jim Carrey would have been a better Joker because Jim Carrey just screams that role.
Joker?
Yeah, do you two think that he would have made a good Joker?
I thought he was okay as Riddler, though.
I don't know. Yeah, I think he made a good. Personally, I think. I don't know. I don't know if that curse would mess them up or not. If that's true.
Well, Joaquin Phoenix seems to be doing fine. And Jared Leto's up for debate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was apparently very crazy with the method acting on Morbius.
So, yeah. I also heard he was pretty crazy with the method acting on the set of Suicide Squad. Like that he gave Margot Robbie like a dead rat or bullets or used condom or some shit like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and that's why that he didn't come back for Birds of Prey because Margot Robbie really didn't like him and got some sort of restraining order on him. So yeah.
Oh, but speaking of that, not that, but Do you have your autograph in frame? You
Yeah,
can
so
grab.
actually, I've been meaning to talk about that. So, Jim Carrey was my all-time childhood hero, and it was my lifetime goal, to contact him. Last year, Jim Carrey announced that he was going to retire. So that right there told me that my time is running out. So I reached out to his agency. I talked to his agent. I found his fan mail address, and my autograph from Jim Carrey is right there.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely feel pretty fortunate, by the fact that Jim Carrey took the time out of his busy schedule just to send me a signed picture.
I mean, I'm hoping he's not retired and that he comes at least back for at least the third Sonic movie. But
I
yeah,
do too, and especially since Sonic Movie 3 is gonna be based off of Sonic Adventure 2, and Dr. Eggman played a really big part in that. It wouldn't be the same to not have Dr. Eggman in it, so I have the feeling maybe Jim Carrey will come back for it because Jim Carrey did the Sonic movies primarily because of the fact like that his grandson is a movie. So I have the feeling that maybe that he will.
I mean, he also did have a ton of fun making the first two movies.
Right.
Like,
so
and who knows? Maybe in 20 years from now, somebody will be asking you for your autograph in your work in the things that piss me off movie series.
yeah, true. So but yeah, the third pissed off movie is looking to be even bigger than the other two, but it actually it's actually gonna be playing in a theater in my area, which is
Ooh.
huge. And
Nice.
we also are looking to put it on either Amazon or Tubi because we're investing so much money into it. We don't want to just put it on YouTube like for free. So yeah. So the third things that piss me off movie is gonna make the other two look like they're nothing.
Amateur hour.
Yeah. So
Did you ask Jim Carrey if he wants to be in it?
So I haven't yet, but there definitely happened. It definitely is possible like that. I might work with Jim Carrey sometime.
Wow.
If I ever do get to work with Jim Carrey, that would be amazing. So, did you two ever see Kick-Ass 2 with Jim Carrey?
No, but I know all about how he reacted after the movie was made. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that. Jim Carrey decided not to promote it because of Sandy Hook.
Yeah. Like, it's like in that situation, it's like on one hand, people like understood why he feels sensitive about it. But on the other hand, lots of the cast and crew were like, dude, you knew what kind of movie you were making.
Yeah, so I totally understand both sides,
Yeah.
I totally understand that Jim Carrey was just trying to show sympathy and support, towards, all the people who suffered because of Sandy Hook, but I do agree with the cast because Jim Carrey knew what he was signing up for because Kick-Ass 2, as far as I know, I believe that's the most violent movie Jim Carrey has ever done.
Yeah.
Was Kick-Ass 2 about the Sandy Hook thing, or
no, it's not. Basically, all it is about it's kind of like a hero movie, like it's about vigilantes, but it is incredibly violent and.
It is,
yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of cussing, but yeah, it's a comic book movie, but it's not a comic book movie for kids.
I've only seen the first one. Like I rewatched the first one pretty recently, but I've never seen the second.
I've seen both Kick-Ass 1 and 2. A lot of people didn't like Kick-Ass 2. I actually personally really enjoyed Kick-Ass 2. I like them both. I like them both just as much the same in my own opinion. It's a shame that we never got Kick-Ass 3, but
there were apparently plans to do it, but I don't know if they're going to be proceeding.
From my understanding, it's because Kick-Ass 2 underperformed at the box office.
Yeah.
So instead, they're doing a Kick-Ass reboot.
Like that's going to do any better?
Yeah.
So, what was, in your opinion, the worst Jim Carrey movie you ever saw?
I was just about to ask that. I remember being pretty disappointed with Dumb and Dumber 2. I mean, there were some funny jokes in it, but I just feel like it was really underwhelming.
Yeah, I think for me it'd be the second one. It had to be the first one. It was good, but it wasn't as good as it could. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what my personal least favorite would be.
Did you ever see Dumb and Dumber 2?
No.
Well, you're not missing much, to be honest. And it's crazy.
Yeah, like, honestly, everything I've seen, because let's see, when it comes to the Jim Carrey movies I've seen, well, I haven't seen, like, let's see. So, I haven't seen Ace Ventura. Fun fact, the first theatrical movie Jim Carrey did was called The Deadpool.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No relation to the Marvel character. In fact, I don't even know. I think the Marvel character, if he did exist back then, he was like brand new, and he's not the one we know today. Like he was back then, he was probably like a Deathstroke ripoff.
I think it could just be a coincidence.
Yeah, but no. Well, no, it's called The Deadpool because of. Well, the thing is, it's the last movie in the Dirty Harry series starring Clint Eastwood. In that movie, Jim Carrey plays the murder victim that Harry Callahan investigates.
Which actually is ironic because I remember there was that scene in Bruce Almighty where there actually was a part like where Jim Carrey did a Clint Eastwood impression.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Bruce Almighty, though.
It was hilarious.
But yes, I mean, I've seen him in that. I haven't seen Ace Ventura. I've seen The Mask. I've seen Batman Forever. Liar Liar I watched once.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I'm kicking my own ass. Do you mind?
Do you mind? There's also that really funny part where that guy in the car is yelling at him, and then Jim Carrey responds, "I'm an inconsiderate prick."
The pen is blue.
I swear that's the funniest movie I've ever seen.
I need to watch that again.
I do not too now.
That's the funniest movie I've ever seen, no matter how many times I see it.
Yeah, well.
And there was that part.
Hook.
The claw.
Oh, claw.
Yeah, I mean, so outside of, and then the original Dumb and Dumber I've only seen once. And that was during a high school field trip. Like the band teacher literally just put it on the bus TV.
There was a really funny part in Liar Liar, like where Jim Carrey's in the elevator with that really hot girl, and then she's like, "Oh, everyone's been so nice to me," and then Jim Carrey responds, "Yeah, it's because you got really big joints." I mean, I want to squeeze them, Mama.
There's the line.
She slaps him.
Liar, liar. He's like, I've had better.
After when he had sex with that girl.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie again now. I saw it on Netflix like years ago. I think it was Netflix.
But talking about serious Jim Carrey movies for a second, like earlier talking about the Truman Show, like one of the more serious movies, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and it's a movie that really makes you think. It makes you think. You know, what if that was you? And there's a lot of really, really complex social commentary in that, and there actually is a real delusion out there that's actually called like the Truman Show delusion. Like pretty much,
Where you think you're in a show.
yeah.
so if we were on a show right now, which one of us would be the main star? Which one of us had the show? And there was two of the guest stars.
Probably you.
But yeah,
I think that's like a conspiracy theory nightmare. That show.
yeah. Um, I also know that Jim Carrey also was considered for the role of Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Really?
How do you two feel about that?
Huh.
Hmm.
I don't know. Well, if yes and no. I think if they have the choice from the beginning, I think he'd been good. But when your brain is in a thing of a certain actor, you get stuck there sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine now because Johnny Depp is so iconic in that role.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, let's say that if Jim Carrey was cast, we probably would be saying, "Man, it's weird to imagine Johnny Depp in that role."
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
if they ever do a six movie, maybe Jim Carrey will be in it. I mean, he quit acting right now.
I also know, according to research, Jim Carrey almost was Buzz Lightyear in the first Toy Story. Isn't that a weird thought?
I also know that Billy Crystal, who played Mike Wazowski in Monsters Inc., was a front runner for Buzz Lightyear, but he turned it down. He turned it down, and when Tim Allen took the role and he saw the movie, he regretted it.
Yeah, and then because of how much he regretted it, Pixar remembered that, and then that's why they called him for Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
So it was like, in a way, Billy Crystal got his second chance.
Yeah.
Would that have been around the Toy Story? That was in the early '90s, was it, or mid '90s?
Like,
Toy Story 1 was 1995.
So yeah, wouldn't that have been around his start of his career in movies?
Around there, yeah.
Around the point he was getting really popular.
Like, it was the same year of Batman Forever, the same year as Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. So yeah, Jim Carrey was getting pretty big at that time.
So did you either you ever see his TV show in living color back in the '90s?
No,
I wanted to, but I haven't gotten around to it. I believe it's on Tubi. Now that I'm on spring break, I could finally actually watch it. This week I plan on watching The Cable Guy, and now I'm gonna put in Living Color. So is that show like a comedy or what?
Yeah. It's like a Damon, like a William brother comedy. Damon Williams and them, or William J. Whatever. I think he was like one of the only white people on the show. Mostly a black comedy.
Speaking of Jim Carrey movies and shows that no one really talks about, did you two ever see that vampire movie that he did? I believe it was called Once Bitten.
No.
I have not, but now I gotta look it up now.
I saw it a year ago. I saw it on Tubi. Jim Carrey was really young. He was like 19. It was before that he got famous, and I actually never even knew the movie even existed until a year ago. So,
So he played a vampire or vampire hunter or victim.
He played a vampire. But yeah, he was extremely young. But yeah, did you two ever watch the Sonic movies that Jim Carrey did?
Oh yeah, I've seen them both.
What one do you like better, Sonic 1 or Sonic 2?
Probably the second one, but the first one I also like.
Yeah, it's hard for me to decide because I like them both. But if I was forced to pick one, I think I'll go with Sonic 2 because Sonic 2 I just felt like was a little bit closer to the video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you said before that one of the movies that broke the video game curse too.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, unless you ask the Last of Us showrunners where they believe they're the ones who did it. I mean, I think the Last of Us show is good, but no, they did not break the curse.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that Sonic the Hedgehog did.
Personally, I think it's Castlevania on Netflix that did it, but that's just me.
I never watched that, so
it is a good series, but
that's the thing. It's a series, not a movie. So
yeah,
does that count?
it is a well. So is Last of Us. So, but yeah. So
as far as shows go, yeah. But as far as movies,
I mean, we also have the Mario movie coming out. We're gonna see how that turns out.
But that's not really a live action one, is it?
No, it's animated. Oh, but that's so curious. That is so curious. For some reason, a lot of award shows are lumping the Sonic movies into the animated category, even though they're live action. Yeah.
So about the Mario movie, do you two think it's going to be any good?
I
don't think it can be worse than the ones in the 90s, you know?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, because on one hand, it has all the Illumination hallmarks where a lot of the humor is generic, a lot of it plays it safe, and they put more focus on touting the celebrity voice actors.
Yeah, I think.
But on the other hand, Nintendo had Illumination's balls in their grip, and they had a lot of creative control.
Yeah, which I think that's a good sign, but I really think Chris Pratt is miscast as Mario.
Yeah. I mean, supposedly Charles Martinet is in the movie somehow, but we don't know.
I heard he has like a voice cameo. Who he's gonna play, I have no idea. But
in slight fairness, the Sonic movies didn't use most of the cast from the games either. But I say most, but yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of Colleen, whatever her last name is, she is the one who voices Tails. She voiced Tails in the video games, and then and she got to voice Tails in Sonic 2, but that's a very rare exception.
Yeah, because the other characters are played by different actors, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised by the fact that they didn't get somebody like Tom Holland, to voice Tails. I'm really surprised.
I do not know why they went that route, but I don't know. I think it's because what happened was, so he has a cameo at the end of the first movie, like in a mid-credit scene, and I guess because they didn't want to pay for another celebrity, they just got the actor from the games, and then when people were like, oh, they got the actor from the games, it's like, well, we can't back out now, or I don't know what they did.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
So who do you think, like Jim Carrey, Jim Carrey played the opposite best of? Either a love interest or an enemy or whatever in his movies?
So it's funny you say that, because I heard that Tommy Lee Jones on the set of Batman Forever absolutely hated Jim Carrey. Like he said to him that he couldn't stand his buffoonery.
Oh yeah, that was in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard another one, the same thing, but different. It was when he played Andy Kaufman, and Jerry Lawler was like
on the moon. I finally saw that a year ago. I'll go as far as saying, as performance-wise, that's the best performance Jim Carrey has ever done.
Yeah, from the interview I saw with Jerry Lawler, he said he hated it because he was so he didn't know it was like Jordan was an act thing, so he's really being artistic in real life and not as a character in a wrestling show.
Yeah, I heard Jim Carrey took his method acting for that pretty far too. As far as what I have heard, but yeah. Did you ever see Man on the Moon? Shanick?
No, I don't know what that is.
I don't really either. I did see clips of the original stuff from the 80s.
But yeah,
YouTube and stuff.
it's a movie based off of this famous comedian named Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, who's in Taxi and stuff, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, Jim Carrey did a really good job playing that. In retrospective, do you two wish that they made The Mask 2 with Jim Carrey?
It had to be, maybe it would have been better than the one that we got with Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, it would have been way better than that piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything would be better than that because that's regarded as one of the worst movies ever made. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my first experience with the Loki character before Marvel came out.
Yeah, I mean, Loki is a character that's in the public domain, as well as Thor. But, but just as far as copyright goes, you just can't do like what Marvel has done with those characters. So, but yeah, and I really do feel like that Jim Carrey was the best person for that role because Jim Carrey is just so good at the physical comedy. I actually heard that they actually saved a lot of money on special effects because they got Jim Carrey because he's just so naturally good at, the physical comedy. So
yeah. You maybe want to after this time, maybe want to look up that Cuban Pete song now.
Yeah. They call me Cuba Pete. I'm the king of the rumba bee. But yeah, so according to research, the filmmakers actually wanted to cut that song out, but then during all the test screenings, it tested so well, which is why that they kept it in. I'm really glad they kept it in.
Yeah.
They call me Cuba B. I'm the king of the rumba bee. When I play maracas, I go chick chicka boom, chick chicka boom.
Oh my god.
That song is so damn catchy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And wow, yeah.
So yeah, it's Ventura.
Oh crap! Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I have the scene stuck in my head.
Yeah, I was not. They were trying to remember stuff. Now I remember when he was looking for that Super Bowl ring. Everyone looked the Super Bowl ring, and he looked through the bathroom. And the guy smiled at him. Was it the Dolphins or something?
Yeah, and what I loved in The Mask, like during that part, like where his dog put the mask on. Do you two remember that part?
Oh yeah.
I thought that. Oh man, I loved that part as a kid.
I do think the only good part of the second movie was, it was a callback to it when the dog from that movie went on a date with the granddaughter or something, or the kid of the dog from the first movie in real life.
And I believe that there was a brief moment where they actually played Koopa Pete in Son of the Mask. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know. I haven't seen Son of the Mask fully.
I don't remember that.
I do know that there was a bit of a ploy with like how they named the dog in both movies, because in the first Mask the dog is named Milo, but then in Son of the Mask it's named Otis.
I believe they named Otis to fit in with the mythology of like Thor and Loki.
Well, the reference I was thinking of is that there was this dog and cat movie called Milo and Otis, like I think in like the 80s or 90s or something.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I've noticed that there's been a common trend of Jim Carrey in a lot of his movies, like where he has like a dog. Like, there is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, The Mask, and even the Ace Ventura. So, it's an odd coincidence.
Oh, he had a dog in Bruce Almighty too, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and the fact that Jim Carrey trained his dog, to go to the bathroom like a normal person,
Yeah.
which after that came out, people actually did try to train their dogs to do that, and it actually was a success. So if you want to train your dog, to shit in your toilet, you actually can. As weird as that sounds.
Oh, I thought you meant the chair thing outside.
No. I'm not talking about the chair thing outside. I'm talking about like that part, like where the dog's reading the newspaper. I mean, then he's sitting on the toilet.
Another topic. That's one of the things I think he did good at. Opposite when he was opposite Jennifer Aniston in that series movie.
I'm actually surprised that those two never collaborated again. Oh yeah, so The Mask actually was Cameron Diaz's very first movie.
Oh yeah, it was like Cameron Diaz's first movie.
Cameron Diaz was hot in that
Wow.
movie. She was really hot.
I could be remembering this wrong, but maybe I'm not. I'm thinking of Friends actor. Wasn't Courtney Cox in Ace Ventura?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you speak of Cameron Diaz, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to butt in, but have you noticed the shirt I'm wearing?
Oh, what a coincidence! I actually didn't notice that until now.
Yep, I was on a trip to Florida and I went to Universal. Me and my sister got tickets to go between both parks, and even though Shrek 4D doesn't exist anymore, they still have Shrek prominently displayed in the park. And I was making it a point to see if there was any chance of getting some kind of Shrek shirt or merchandise, and thankfully they had this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they replaced it with like a Despicable Me show.
Oh, about that. They're planning to replace it with a Minions ride, but you know what? It's right across the street from an already existing Minions ride.
So there's two Minions rides now?
Right across the street from each other. Yep.
Are they almost the same ride?
I don't know, but they're both Minions rides.
That seems kind of pointless to me.
Speaking of
And
stuff
the
Jim
funny thing
Carrey wasn't
is,
in.
the first Minions ride replaced the Nickelodeon ride. So, which was originally a Hanna-Barbera ride.
I
But
think I thought of something. We talked about earlier with Johnny with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Do you think Jim Carrey would have been a good Shrek?
probably not. I mean, the only other guy who was considered to be Shrek.
I don't see it.
Speaking of which, I've got a mug.
Now that we're on the topic of Shrek, do you two think we ever will get a Shrek 5?
It's apparently planned. It is planned to make a Shrek 5. In fact, they did Puss in Boots: The Last Wish recently, which is supposedly really damn good.
Uh-huh.
It basically ends with a teaser for a fifth Shrek.
Okay.
So, well, not exactly a teaser, but it heavily
implies it.
It heavily implies that the next stop in the franchise is another Shrek movie.
Okay. Yeah, I heard the same thing about the new Puss in Boots. What I heard it's even better than the original Puss in Boots. But the problem is that it came out right at the same time as Avatar 2. So yes, it made money, but not as much money as it could have.
I mean, supposedly it's still in theaters right now, and it's slowly trickling its way up the box office, at least. And the thing about that, at the moment, the third Sonic movie is set to launch the same day as Avatar 3. So people are like pleading for like the Sonic Movie 3 crew to either push the release date up or back, whatever they need to do, so it doesn't have to compete with Avatar 3.
There's no okay, I love Sonic, but there is no way it can compete with Avatar 3.
Yeah.
There's no way, because Avatar 1 and 2 are some of the highest grossing movies of all time. You can't compete with something like that.
Yeah, it's all about timing. You gotta make it sure you're there when nothing else be coming out.
That's how the first two movies succeeded, because the first movie came out in February, which is a relatively dead month for movies, and then even the second movie came out in the busier month of April, but even then it still came out a few weeks ahead of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, so it had time to be number one.
And on top of that, the first Sonic movie came out a few months before COVID hit.
Yeah.
Actually 1 month before COVID hit.
Also, I think the first Sonic movie was they already had that controversy with the teeth thing, so it was already in people's minds.
Oh, that horrible design! Oh my god, I'm so glad that they changed that hideous thing.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they actually brought that crappy design back for the Chip and Dale movie.
Yeah, they made him his own character.
Oh, and
the fact that
I hated that. Personally, I hated that movie. I mean, it was a good movie overall, but it was more behind the scene thing. I was hoping for like a reboot thing, like a thing, not like a behind the scenes actor thing.
You see, the funny thing with the old ugly Sonic design is that because of how much controversy it generated, if you watch the Blu-ray of the first movie, in like the director's commentary and like most of the behind the scenes stuff, they don't mention it at all.
I was really surprised that there was no mention of it.
Literally the only remnant of the original design is in the deleted scenes, because in the deleted scenes most of them didn't have the animation on him finished, and so like there's like an unfinished model of him like anytime he appears in any of the deleted scenes, and the unfinished model is very blatantly the original design. But yeah.
And it's so ugly. Like, it looks like a human body. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. I'm so glad. If they would have,
if they ever do a Sonic 3 and Carrey's in it, they're gonna have him as the fat Eggman version of him?
I believe so, because Jim Carrey actually said that he wanted the fat Eggman for Sonic Movie 2. But the studio said no. So now with Sonic Movie 3, they can fully evolve Dr. Eggman. I have a feeling for the third movie we're going to see fat Eggman. Like Jim Carrey said that he would have been willing, to wear a fat suit, but that unfortunately didn't happen because of Paramount.
Yeah. The third movie will be based on Sonic 2006.
Nah,
oh
no
my
way.
gosh. With Princess Elise and that infamous scene where Sonic and the princess kiss and somehow her kiss brings him back to life. That was cringe. Yeah. That was cringe.
Yeah, and it sent the game series into a slump that it took years to recover from, because the most recent game in the series, Frontiers, seems to finally have the series back on track.
Well, people have said like that Sonic Colors, helped to get the franchise back on track.
But then it stumbled again after that.
Yeah, with Sonic Rise of Lyric.
And then Forces was also pretty bad.
Yeah, Forces, it had a cool idea with the make your own character, but just the level design just felt underwhelming.
And the story of the game is probably the dumbest one in the entire series, like easily.
I agree.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get into Sonic till later, because in the 90s I was Team Nintendo. So I was...
You traitor.
I didn't get the Sega until way later. I can only afford one system. Got that one.
Makes sense.
The original console.
But yeah, so Frontiers kind of brought the series back on track. Well, for one thing, number one, they hired a better writer, and number two, freaking, they actually made the gameplay a lot more
Enjoyable.
evolved and better.
Yeah, so on the topic of video games, there have been a few video games based off of Jim Carrey movies. Like, there was a video game for The Mask for the Super Nintendo. Did you two ever play that?
No. But you know what? Hang on. You speak
There
of
also
Jim-
was there also was an Ace Ventura video game for the PC.
And there was a Grinch game.
Yes, there was for the Sega Dreamcast.
And there was also a PS1 version.
Yep.
So, there was also a game based on the series Unfortunate Events movie.
And was that any good?
It was okay.
Speaking of the Grinch,
Like,
was
I
that
would not say it was bad, but
was that considered one of the good live action Dr. Seuss movies, or a bad one?
In my opinion, it does have its flaws, but there's definitely a lot of entertainment value to it. So I personally do enjoy it, but the movie does have its flaws.
Yeah, well, I think it's
the overall
I
consensus.
think personally compared to
The
Cat in the
overall
Hat,
consensus of the Grinch is divisive. Like, there's people who don't like it for like its inappropriate humor and just looking a bit uncanny in live action. But then there's others who think that the humor was actually pretty clever, just that the performances were great and the set design was still
well, I
great.
think if you compare it to the Cat in the Hat movie, it's way better.
Oh yeah.
So that one, I agree. That movie's a piece of shit. That is a movie like that took the adult humor way too far. There's a part where the Cat in the Hat says "dirty hoe."
And no, there's also the part where he shouts, "Son of a bitch!" Yeah.
And there's also that part where his hat is a euphemism for a penis.
Yeah, when he sees their mom and he thinks the mom looks hot, so his hat extends, and then when the kids say, "That's our mom," suddenly it goes back down and he says, "Awkward." But yeah, the thing with the live action Cat in the Hat is that comparing Jim Carrey as the Grinch and Mike Myers as the cat, you can tell the thing with Jim Carrey is that the makeup and the costume was still super uncomfortable, but he still enjoyed doing it. Like, he learned techniques to power on through, like, the discomfort, and he still, like, made something out of, like, his performance in the suit. Mike Myers didn't give a crap. Like, supposedly he was... I might get this wrong because this was based on when I was reading, like, trivia on the movie. But I guess Mike Myers never wanted to do it, but somehow he got contractually obligated to do it. And so basically he put in the bare minimum effort.
And it shows.
Yeah.
I heard the original choice actually was Tim Allen, but Tim Allen was doing Santa Claus 2, so that's why he couldn't do it. I think Tim Allen dodged a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think there was a movie where Jim Carrey put in the bare minimum effort at all? Or I think he always put in the full effort in any movie he was in.
I feel like he gave it his all every time. So going back to The Grinch, Jim Carrey didn't like the makeup so much that Jim Carrey almost quit. But what happened was one of the producers knew somebody who was in like the Army or the Marines. And so pretty much they taught Jim Carrey how to like deal with torture.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so Jim Carrey literally learned how to put up with torture just for our own entertainment.
Yeah.
And I heard that originally Jim Carrey was wearing contacts that covered his entire eyes, but Jim Carrey hated those contacts, and so that's why afterwards they would just edit his eyes in post.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they gave the Grinch a backstory?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pretty much they said that he was bullied and whatnot. So I actually argue that the villain of that is not the Grinch, it's the mayor.
Oh yeah.
The mayor definitely is the villain of that movie.
Yeah, I was wondering something. Is the area where the Grinch takes place the same area from Horton Here's a Who?
It's similar.
It's
They're both
similar because it takes place in a snowflake, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Since they're both the Whovilles and stuff. I was like,
I mean, the way the setup of it, I guess, is sort of similar, but yeah.
So going back to the Grinch, I know a year ago they came out with the Grinch horror movie. Did you two watch it?
No, I'm not jumping on that train.
like, is that what they're trying to do with the same thing you're trying to do with the Winnie the Pooh horror thing now?
Yeah, I saw the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and look, I'm not saying it's a bad movie because it's violent. How dare they do this to my childhood? It was just not a good movie. The lighting was really bad. I could barely tell what was going on. And they took it way, way, way too seriously when it's Winnie the Pooh as a slasher movie. No one's going to take that seriously. And they took it like so dead serious. And yeah, and there was this really cheesy part of the movie where it reminds me a lot of Halloween Kills, where there's like a mob fighting against Winnie the Pooh. There was this cheesy scene where this mob leader goes, "Oh yeah," he says this to Pooh Bear. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll give you this. You're a tough guy." And everybody in the theater, including me, was roaring in laughter with how cheesy that was.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, at least it was a so bad it's good movie in my own opinion. But the lighting, it was so dark that as far as I know, Winnie the Pooh could have been like dancing in a tutu as far as I know, because of how dark it was.
I guess that's the thing that happens when stuff gets out of the public domain now.
Yeah.
Or in the public domain.
Yeah. Winnie the Pooh isn't in the public domain. The Grinch is not. So that's why for the Grinch horror movie, they don't call him the Grinch. That's why instead they call him the mean one.
The mean one.
You're the mean one, Mr. Grinch. So yeah, I didn't see the Grinch horror film. I heard that one was pretty bad too.
Has Jim Carrey been? Was the Cable Guy considered a horror film or what?
It's more of like a dark comedy as far as I know. But yeah, Jim Carrey kind of did do a horror movie with the number 23, but it's not really a horror movie. It's more of like a drama thriller, but it's not really a horror film at all. But it was really different compared to any other movie that Jim Carrey did. But anyways, we've been going on for about an hour. Do we have anything left that we want to say to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Not exactly.
So I guess we're talking about what. So what's going on? You think you want to advertise on your either of your channels coming up soon? If you're doing anything.
Well, things that pissed me off. The movie 3 is coming out. It's going to be even bigger than the other two movies. We're looking at maybe getting a bigger name attached to it. I can't say who, but yeah, looking to have it play in a theater over in my area, and then looking into having it stream on either Tubi or Amazon. So there's going to be more episodes of things that piss Savart off, to lead into things that pissed me off the movie 3. Currently, this week, I actually am going to be having auditions for things that pissed me off the movie 3. So So yeah, so that's definitely the big thing that I want to advertise.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, nothing really thing until I get my tooth fixed, and I'll be out. I don't think I'll be really concentrating on. But if I was around next week, hopefully the three of us can be on again to talk about, in my opinion at least, the last good DC movie, which was the Batman trilogy.
You mean the Dark Knight trilogy?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that then. But until then, never stop learning and enjoy the randomness. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.